All glories to Son of God, God of heaven Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 1, the activities of Maharaj Priyavrata, text 21, 5.121. So, we do have maybe normal prose, maybe not. Bhagavan apyamanuna yatavad upakalpita pachiti. You know the prose for this?
Bhagavan apimanuna yatavarupa kalapita pachiti.
What's the second line?
Priya Vratanadayor Avishamam Avishamikshamayor.
Okay, Priya Vratanadayor Avisamam Avisamikshamayor.
Priya Vratanadayor Avishamikshamayor.
Atmasam Avastanam Avanmanasam Shayam.
Atmasam Avastanam
Avanmanasam
Avyabhavitam Prabhavartayan Agamat.
Avyavritam Prabhavartayan Agamat.
Bhagavan Apimanuna Yatavar Upakapita Pachati.
Bhagavan apimanuna yatavarupa kalapita pachiti.
Priyavrata Naradayor Avisamam Avisamikshamayor.
Priya Vratanadayor Avishamikshamayor.
What's the third line?
This third line is in prayer.
Atmasam Avastanam Avan Manasam Shayam.
Atmasam avastanam avanmanasam shayam.
Avyabhritam Prabhavartayan Agamat.
Avyavritam Prabhavartayan Agamat.
Anybody want to go for it?
It's prose though.
Okay.
First two lines kind of match one.
Yeah.
Bhagavan apimanuna yatavarupa kalapita pachiti.
Bhagavan apimanuna yatavarupa kalapita pachati.
Priya Vratanadayor Avisamama Vishamikshamayor.
Priyavrata naradayor avishamam avishamiksamanayor.
Atmasam avastanam avanmanasam shayam.
Atmasam avastanam avanmanasam shayam.
Avyavaritam pavartayam agamat.
Avyavritam prabhavartayan
Agamat.
Bhagavan apimanuna yatavat upakalapi pachiti.
Bhagavan apimanuna yatavarupa kalapita pachiti.
Priyavrata naradayor avishamam avishamikshamayor.
Priya Vratanadayor Avisamama Vishamikshamayor.
Atmasam avastanam avanmanasam shayam.
Atmasam avastanam avanmanasam shayam.
Avyavritam pravartayan agama.
Avavritam pavartayam agama.
Bhagavan, the most powerful Lord Brahma.
The most powerful Lord Brahma.
Api, also. Manuna,
Mana
by Manu.
by Manu.
Yatavat,
Yatavat
as deserved.
and deserved.
Upakalpita apichiti,
Kalapita
being worshipped.
being worshipped.
Priyavrata Naradayo,
Priyavrata
in the presence of Priyavrata and Narada.
In the presence of Priyavrata and
Avishamam,
Avishamam,
without aversion.
without aversion.
Avisamikshamaniyo,
Avishamikshamayo,
looking on.
looking
Atmasan,
Atmasam,
just suitable for his position.
just suitable for his position.
Vastanam,
Avasthanam,
to his abode.
to his abode.
Avak Manasam,
Avatmanasam,
beyond the description of mind and words.
beyond the description of mind and words.
Shayam, the planet.
The planet
Avyavahritam,
of Yavahritam,
extraordinarily situated.
extraordinarily situated.
Vavartayan,
Vavartayan,
departing.
departing.
Agamat,
Agamat,
returned.
return.
Translation. Lord Brahma was then worshipped by Manu, who respectfully satisfied him as well as he could. Priyavrata and Narada also looked upon Brahma with no tinges of resentment. Having engaged Priyavrata in accepting his father's request, Lord Brahma returned to his abode, Satyaloka, which is indescribable by the endeavor of mundane mind or words. Please repeat. Lord Brahma was then worshipped by Manu,
Lord Brahma was then worshipped by Manu,
who respectfully satisfied him as well as he could.
respectfully satisfied him as well as he could.
Priyavrata and Narada also looked upon Brahma
Priyavrata and Narada also looked upon Brahma
with no tinges of resentment.
with no tinges of resentment.
Having engaged Priyavrata in accepting his father's request,
Having engaged Priyavrata in accepting his father's request,
Lord Brahma returned to his abode, Satyaloka,
Lord Brahma returned to his abode,
which is indescribable by the endeavor of mundane mind or words.
indescribable by the endeavor of mundane mind or words.
Report by Srila Prabhupada ki. Manu was certainly very satisfied that Lord Brahma had persuaded his son Priyavrata to take the responsibility for ruling the world. Priyavrata and Narada were also very satisfied. Although Brahma had forced Priyavrata to accept the management of worldly affairs, thus breaking his vow to remain brahmachari and completely engaged in devotional service, Narada and Priyavrata did not look upon Brahma with resentment. Narada was not at all sorry that he had been frustrated in making Priyavrata a disciple. Both Priyavrata and Narada were exalted personalities who knew how to respect Lord Brahma. Therefore, instead of looking upon Brahma with resentment, they very feelingly offered him their respect. Lord Brahma then returned to his celestial abode, known as Satyaloka, which is described here as being impeccable and being unapproachable by words. It is stated in this verse that Lord Brahma returned to his residence, which is as important as his own personality. Lord Brahma is the creator of this universe and the most exalted personality within it. His lifetime is described in Bhagavad Gita 8:17, Sahasra Yuga Paryantam Aha Yad Brahmano Vadu. The total duration of the 4 yugas is 4.3 million years. And when that is multiplied 1,000 times, it equals 12 hours in the life of Brahma. Therefore, we cannot factually comprehend even 12 hours of Brahma's life, to say nothing of the 100 years that constitute his entire lifetime. How then can we understand his abode? The Vedic literatures describe that in Satyaloka there is no birth, death, old age, or disease. In other words, since Satyaloka is situated next to Brahmaloka, or the Brahmana effulgence, it is almost as good as Vaikuntha Loka. Lord Brahma's abode is practically indescribable from our present status. Therefore, it has been described as Avan Manasagochara, or beyond the description of our words and the imagination of our minds. The Vedic literatures thus describe the abode of Lord Brahma, Yadvai Pararyam Tad Paramesvara Nayatra Loko Soko Na Jara Na Mrityur Nartir Na Chodvega. In Satyaloka, which is situated many millions and billions of years away, there is no lamentation, nor is there old age, death, anxiety, or influence of enemies. Swayam Rupa Agaramayam Dagati Swabaram. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Jiva Sari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Translation repeated. Lord Brahma was then worshipped by Manu, who respectfully satisfied him as well as he could. Priyavrata and Narada also looked upon Brahma with no tinges of resentment. Having engaged Priyavrata in accepting his father's request, Lord Brahma returned to his abode, Satyaloka, which is indescribable by the endeavor of mundane mind or words. So, this is a pretty darn big deal, actually, if you think about it. Here we have Priyavrata Prabhu nicely engaging in the hearing and chanting program Narada Muni has instructed him to take up. And that's the real program, reviving our dormant Krishna prema in all of our hearts, dormant, but the hearing and the chanting of the holy name, fame, qualities, and pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And, this is so nectarian, just because you want to max out your life for hearing and chanting and just keep it simple. And, what was it? Sankhya Purva Ganam Sarikado Mitra Haravakar Bhajo Radha Krishna Gunasmater Madhurmanandana Matadiko Vande Rupasnat Norigo Shajivanko. 6 Goswamis were always chanting the holy names of the Lord and bowing down in scheduled measurement. This way they utilized their valuable lives and executing these devotional activities. They conquered over eating and sleeping and were always meek and humble, enchanted by remembering the transcendental qualities of the Lord. Nectar, you get intoxicated. It's the most blissful thing. And you don't want to ever have it go away. And, like sometimes it just, like Grand Canyon, there's no distractions. I just got a routine. And then at the end of the day, I read Prabhupada's books, and you got the morning program, and then you got your japa, and then you stupid plugs, and wow, it just gets nectar in every day after day. And you just don't want anything to disturb that, because this program is so nectar. It's so nectarian that even, what all men are running after is a woman. When they don't get that higher taste, right? Then what is that? 259. We get him. Thank you. You did the last line. Okay, the fourth line. The embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, but the taste for sense objects remains. But by ceasing such engagements, by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. So this higher taste of preaching Krishna consciousness and having the full ISKCON sandwich of a morning and an evening program of some kind, reading or whatever, chanting and more, and that satisfies the hunger for what we're really hankering after, the soul hankering. So we get our full ISKCON sandwich every day. And we see, like, even Lord Chaitanya's older brother, Visvarupa, he's getting a mega dose of ISKCON sandwiches every single day with Advaitacharya and so forth. And he just becomes more renounced. And then when the parents, Mother Sachi wants to get him married, he got wind of that and split for good, never went back. That's hardcore, right? So that's how much he wants to continue with this program. It's everything in a sense. It is everything. So you don't want to mess it up. And Priyavrata's feeling that way. And yet you see him, not necessarily giving it up, but, taking Brahma's advice, which is pretty darn profound. Yeah. Now, there's more to it than just, okay, Mahajis are totally awesome, right? I mean, they really are. They're profound beings, and Prabhupada says that, Mahajis are amazing, men are amazing, but when they get together, there's a lot of complications. And for men, Mahajis are quite bewildering, not to mention their psyche, can be kind of bewildering. It's a story of Kanishta Adhikari who, materialistic devotee, somehow pleased God. And God said, well, give me a benediction. And he lived in California. He likes to go to Hawaii, but he doesn't like flying. So he said, God, well, can you make a bridge to go from California to Hawaii, please, so I can drive to Hawaii? I like to go there a lot. God's like, man, it's such a materialistic desire. It's just something spiritual. I mean, to do that, you got to go way down in pillars and so much concrete. And what an endeavor. I don't know if we can justify this degree of an endeavor, Can you try again, maybe ask for something more spiritual than a bridge to Hawaii? And the guy thought, oh, I always wanted to figure out the ladies, when they cry, what's going on in their minds? And when they give you that silent treatment, what are they thinking? And he asked all these questions about the Mahajis, and then God responded, so you want a 2-lane or a 4-lane highway? So, in other words, it's quite a challenge, for men to deal with, not to deal with, that's the wrong word, to understand. And it may be the same the other way around, I don't know, but men are a little more simple in many regards in that sense. Not that they're better, not saying they're better, but it's a challenge. So he's about to take on this challenge for the sake of pleasing Brahma, which is really impressive. We got the most big gun, right? But we have the big gun Brahma coming down to convince. Now you can say no to your father. You can say no to your authorities under certain circumstances. Here we see when Brahma asked the 4 Kumaras, hey, you guys make some progeny. And they refused. They actually use their mystic powers to stay under the age of puberty so they won't be agitated and not bother with this purpose of increasing progeny, but focus on a higher purpose of hearing and chanting and glorifying God. And we see with Yayati, who gets older and wants to exchange his old age for his son's youth. And the sons are having trouble accepting this. Except I think Puru accepted it. But Yadu refused again for another purpose, for a higher purpose of bringing Krishna into the dynasty very quickly. And so the higher purpose. And we see the 6 Goswamis, Shakvatarna Masation Mandabalis and Institute Utpatim Ganesha Kopi Baba Sam Tablik Vande Rupa Sanat No Yoshiji Babako. 6 Goswamis kicked off all association of aristocracy as insignificant in order to deliver the poor conditioned souls. They accepted loincloths, treat themselves as mendicants. They always immersed in the ecstatic ocean. The gopis love for Krishna. They bathed always and repeatedly in the waves of that ocean. So, for a higher purpose, Bhishma, I don't know how this fits in perfectly, but we see how certain living entities will fight to the death to avoid, such circumstances that Priyavrata Prabhu is about to go into. Bhishma Dev was asked, some woman asked, get married, and Bhishma refused because he took the great vow of remaining brahmachari throughout his whole life. And the Maharaji got upset and told Parshuram, let's see, he lopped off, he easily tore apart Kartavirya Arjuna. Now Kartavirya Arjuna easily defeated Ravana like he was a little monkey. So we're talking extremely powerful being Parashuram is. And they fought, and finally, okay, Parashuram said, okay, you get my blessings to remain, in this brahmachari, So it's a major thing, but there's times when you can say no to your authorities. I've been even told that you can say no to your guru if your guru asks you to get married. I don't know if that's true or not. Somebody mentioned that. Of course, we never say no to our guru, but there's the one circumstance that I've been told by somebody sitting right here giving a class that it's an option. So he had that option to say no, but he chose not to because he's getting the blessings of being able to stay focused on Krishna. That's probably a big part of it. Also, convincing him, that there's more than just, I shouldn't say there's more than just hearing and chanting, but there's, there's a material dungeon, the material universe needs to run properly in order to give living entities a chance to get rectified and go back to the spiritual world. Priyavrata is the man, take on the job. But it is quite impressive that he has simply accepted without any resentment. That is really profound. And Narada Muni Prabhu also defeated in his endeavors by the big gun. But they didn't hold any grudges. And I think this is an important point. How many people have you met that have left ISKCON and have so much grudges 30 years later? Grudges. It's really silly, in my opinion. I'm sorry, but no offense to anybody. But I mean, I still hear it here and there and there and here. We don't need this, here these great personalities are they're giving up their feelings, difficulties, and trying to accomplish their task. And of course, we don't, not blind in this endeavor of accepting everything, even though we can appreciate authorities, spiritual authorities, Brahma's the biggest character in the universe. So, if we can appreciate, Devavrata Prabhu, maybe I shouldn't mention his name, but I did anyways. He told me just yesterday about how I really helped him out when he was new, and he really appreciated it. And he mentioned to me that I said, I don't remember saying it, but he asked me, you see many people come and go out of ISKCON, what's the factor that causes people to leave? And apparently I said, they think they're better than their authorities. Now that's you got a parampara. This mercy flows through the parampara. So when we think, as Prabhupada says, when you think you're better than your guru, you're a fool. And so we should always think, I'm fool number one in front of my guru, Then we can make nice progress. Because the mercy is flowing through the parampara. So we don't want to mess that up. So, but if we're not getting that mercy, we're not going to be so intoxicated like the 6 Goswamis, always bathing in the nectar. And enchanted by remembering the transcendental qualities of the Lord. So, yeah, he gets convinced. And another thing that when I had one foot in the door in ISKCON, testing the waters. But then when Prabhupada said, don't make a step until you're fully comfortable with the answers to your questions. When he said that, I put both of my feet in. So, our high authorities can answer our questions to our full satisfaction. I mean, if they can, then we don't mind continuing, making steps. But if they don't, for whatever reason, then we're hesitant. So through the parampara, we can get answers to our full satisfaction and then go forward without any issues, without any stuff left in the head that puts on the brakes. We can go ahead full speed ahead. So, and respecting our authorities. This is a great way is Krishna's wonderful arrangement for us to make wonderful spiritual advancement back home to Godhead. And we have to be careful. I remember when I was kind of new, and some Prabhupada disciple just visiting through, and I had problems with my authority, and I started to complain about my authority to him. He just cut me off and said, you know, when you're envious of somebody, you should praise them, and that gets rid of the envy. And I thought he just didn't hear me, you know, because I got some serious points, you know, after being here for a couple of months. I've got some points, you know, that need to be heard. And so then I started to say it again, like he didn't hear me. And then he said the same thing, and I went, maybe he's trying to tell me something. And I thought about it. Envy? I don't have envy. What? I got some good points here, but I gave it some time, and then I started to realize, my goodness, yeah, I probably am envious. So I started to praise, and it worked. It really worked. That was some really perfect medicine for me. So that helped a lot for me to, you know, continue with the program. So he's getting convinced, and Dhanavira Maharaj, you know, was my wonderful authority for so many years, still is in a sense, of course. But, you know, every time I had a problem with what he instructed me, I would just bring up my issues with it, and he'd answer my situation to my full satisfaction. Like, oh, I didn't realize that, I didn't realize that. Oh, okay, well, yeah, I can go full speed ahead with that. That's such a nice way to go forward in our Krishna consciousness. And it seems like Brahma has done a little number like that with Priyavrata Prabhu. So they don't have any resentment. I don't have any resentment to Dhanavira Maharaj giving me so many instructions throughout so many years, because it was all perfect. There wasn't any issues. No problems. Here we see Indra, Indra's stealing Prithu Maharaj's horse for the 100th horse sacrifice, because that would match Indra's 100 horse sacrifice yagas, and he doesn't want to lose his position. Indra doesn't want to lose his position of, you know, king of heaven. So he steals the horse, and he does that a couple times. Prithu's son gets the horse back, and then he steals it again, and finally, you know, Vishnu comes in, helps solve the problem, and Indra realizes, man, I messed up, I'm sorry. And he bows down at Prithu's feet, apologizing, and Prithu quickly lifted him up. And Prabhupada writes in that purport that's really helpful. Okay. So Indra decided to fall down at the lotus feet of King Prithu, but the king was so magnanimous a Vaishnava that he did not want Maharaj Indra to fall down at his feet. Instead, King Prithu immediately picked him up and embraced him. And both of them forgot all the past incidents. Forgot. That's a major thing. I mean, Indra almost got killed by his son, by Prithu's son. But he created the dress of a sannyasi and created all these disturbances for the future. It's pretty major stuff. They forgot. Where am I? Here we go. Both King Indra and Maharaj Prithu were envious and angry with each other. But since both of them were Vaishnavas, or servants of Lord Vishnu, it was their duty to adjust the cause of their envy. This is also a first-class example of cooperative behavior between Vaishnavas. In the present days, however, because people are not Vaishnavas, they fight perpetually among one another and are vanquished without finishing the mission of human life. There is a great need to propagate the Krishna consciousness movement in the world, so that even though people sometimes become angry and malicious toward one another, because of their being Krishna conscious, such rivalry, competition, and envy can be adjusted without difficulty. So this is really important, you know, in order for us to be a society, number one, that is attractive for other people to join, to be a society that really is Krishna conscious, that it's trying to please Krishna, these things need to be taken into consideration. Does anybody want me to reread that? Because this is really helpful. Oh, really? Cool. Because this is really awesome. So both King Indra and Mara's Prithvi were envious and angry with each other, but since both of them were Vaishnavas, or servants of Lord Vishnu, it was their duty to adjust the cause of their envy. This is also a first-class example of cooperative behavior between Vaishnavas. In the present days, however, because people are not Vaishnavas, they fight perpetually among one another and are vanquished without finishing the mission of human life. There is a great need to propagate the Krishna consciousness movement in the world so that even though people sometimes become angry and malicious toward one another, because they're being Krishna conscious, such rivalry, competition, and envy can be adjusted without difficulty. Because we're thinking of Krishna. Krishna will please Krishna. Krishna doesn't want us to, Krishna wants us to get along, right? He wants us all to be happy. And if you're a parent, you don't want your kids fighting with each other. That's a major thing. That upsets the father, seeing such problems, But if the kids get along and they help please the father's happy. It's a happy family life. So we're in Krishna's Gotra. We're actually in Krishna's family. We're in his family. And we got to get along to please Krishna. It's only appropriate. Otherwise, we might lose the greatest benediction you could have, the association of devotees. So it's important that such rivalry, competition, and envy can be adjusted without difficulty because pleasing Krishna. Jai. So we're going to finish this up here. Now, shifting to this comment where it talks about Brahma's abode, Satyaloka, being free from all these problems, birth, death, disease, and old age, no death, etc. The Vedic literature also writes somewhere in there, I remember reading, I think it's the Bhagavatam, where it talks about hell being eternal. Of course, we know there's no such thing as eternal damnation. We also know that the material universe, hell and Satyaloka, get annihilated. It's a creation and annihilation. So what does this really mean? And we also learn from Bhagavad Gita, Brahmana Bhuvana Loka Punar Vartano Arjuna Mam Paitya Kunteya Punar Janma Navidyate. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth, death, disease, and old age take place. But one who has attained to my abode never takes birth again. So what's being said here? So I'm just going to read where it gives a reference here to 227 in Bhagavatam. In that planet of Satyaloka, there is neither bereavement nor old age nor death. There is no pain of any kind, and therefore there are no anxieties, save that sometimes, due to consciousness, there is a feeling of compassion for those unaware of the process of devotional service, who are subjected to unsurpassable miseries in the material world. So when it talks about this, there's no old age, no death. Since it's so close to the spiritual world, it's described like that. But there still is that there. Just like in the Bhagavatam, it says at one point, of course, in the Bhagavatam, it doesn't say hell's eternal, but at one point it does say it's eternal. So, because it's a long time, you can be there a while. So in that sense, and in this sense, because you live such a long time, there's no death. It's 15 trillion, 800 billion years in Satyaloka. It's 15 trillion something billion years. It's the life of the inhabitants of Satyaloka. That's a long time. So when it says it's eternal, kind of it's an exaggeration, but it's making the point. It's quite a while. But it's interesting how the pain that they experience there is the pain of other beings in this material dimension who I think almost all of us used to be, except for Yamuna. She's an avatar or something. So, the people in Satyaloka feel for how we used to be and how most people are, completely lost. And Prabhupada writes in the purport really nicely here. Then all the plans of material happiness will automatically come to an end. So backing up a little bit. But they should know for certain that any amount of materialistic adjustment for becoming happy in a place which is meant for distress cannot benefit the misguided man, because, after all, the whole universe with all its paraphernalia will come to an end after a certain period. Then all plans of material happiness will automatically come to an end. The intelligent person therefore makes a plan to return home back to Godhead. Such an intelligent person surpasses all the pangs of material existence, like birth, death, disease, and old age. He is actually happy because he has no anxieties of material existence. But as a compassionate sympathizer, he feels unhappiness for the suffering materialistic men. And thus he occasionally comes before the materialistic men to teach them the necessity of going back to Godhead. All the bona fide acharyas preach this truth of returning home back to Godhead and warn men not to make a false plan for happiness in a place where happiness is only a myth. It's nice. Happiness is a myth in this material dimension. It's a myth. So here we're seeing, once again, the paramount instruction of this entire Srimad Bhagavatam, which is, please distribute me. Please. I need to be distributed. Can you help me please distribute these books? Me? Right? That's what Bhagavatam is saying on every single page. Please. These people need to know about me. Need to understand. And if you can distribute the book, I'll be understood. And they'll take to this and they'll realize there's no better scripture in the entire universe than the Bhagavatam. Right? So this is essential, that we take up this mission of delivering fallen conditioned souls. And I don't know if I told you this, please raise your hand. I was at Mount Rushmore last summer, 2 summers ago. Two people came up 2 different times. One guy, it's with his family, and he comes to the table, and he goes to his family, you guys go on ahead. I'll catch up with you. And he looks around and, hey man, can I tell you something? Like, yeah, sure. It's like, my hair started standing on end, and his was way on end. I gotta tell you, I had an out-of-body experience a while back. And he was a hockey pro, and he got checked really hard, and his heart went out, and his doctor said, sorry, you're about to go. Be prepared. You're about to leave your body. You're about to die. And he left his body, and he describes his experience there, which was so far out. I mean, he didn't have any understanding of this literature, and he could see all the kind of correlations. And then he met God, and then he healed his heart. He says love was just pouring into his heart like anything, like he never experienced before. And he fixed his heart. He says, you can go, it's time for you to go now back in your body. And then before he left, he says, well, what am I supposed to do? And God said, just bring him to me and I'll do the rest. So that was the theme of it. And he shared that with me. And that was a real experience. You could tell.
God said, bring them to me.
Bring them to me and I'll do the rest. And then a month later, a gal comes by, same thing. She told me her out-of-body experience. And she said she met God. And then she asked, but for this one, God said, well, would you like to go back in your body or go back or leave? He goes, well, I'm attached. I didn't want to go back in my body. Before she left, she said, well, what should I do? And she said the exact same words that God told her, just bring them to me and I'll do the rest. Exact same words. So this is our function. We just bring God to people, and God does amazing things, right? You just go out on Sankirtan and somebody comes by and goes, man, I was just meant to be here today. I never come by this way, but I knew I was supposed to come by this way. I knew exactly where I'm supposed to be today and get these books. God in the heart's just telling him, skip that or that and come this way. And God's doing the rest. He's arranging so many things, but we just need to be the instrument to try to make something happen. So it's just so profound. We just stay with this service. And Prabhupada does mention, where the real blessings are. What is that? Sad Goswami Astika Krishna Kirtan Gana Tanapro Premam Vatambo Dear Janapi Aprakaro Narmatra Bujita Sri Chaitanya Kababa Prabhahantaraka Vandi Rupasnat No Yoshi Jiva Go. 6 Goswamis were always chanting the holy name of Krishna and dancing in ecstasy. Always chanting the holy name of Krishna and dancing. They're just like the ocean of love of God. And they're popular with both the gentle and the ruffians because not envious of anyone. Whatever they do, they're all pleasing everyone, and they're fully blessed. They are fully blessed by Lord Chaitanya. Thus, they are engaged in missionary activities meant to deliver all conditioned souls into the universe. This is the real blessing. They get the blessing to be an empowered preacher to help deliver souls. Like Prabhupada had God brothers that wanted the bricks and mortar of a building that cost money. And by the blessings of Guru, they got it. But Prabhupada makes the comment, but they didn't get the real blessings, which is to be empowered preacher, to be able to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. Like Prabhupada got the real blessings from his Guru. So that's the real blessings. Somebody came to Prabhupada and said, please let me have your blessings. And Prabhupada says, well, if you do the full morning program, then you get my blessings. So it's important, it's a full morning program. Right? So we get the blessings and the real blessings, not the blessings because we increase our stipend. We got the blessing. This is not the real blessings. The blessings is to be empowered to spread this movement. That's the real blessings. So I'll stop there. Any comments or questions? Yes, Prabhu. No.
So moved. Thank you. Yeah, a few questions, but the first question is in regard to the authorities. You were saying, you spoke about how you were having some challenges with your authorities. And sometimes...
That's not my fault. They were perfectly fine. I had a problem. It was my problem, but just to make it really clear, they didn't have it. They were doing just fine. Go ahead, sir.
Well, what if you find that there's authority doing something, that is seriously wrong, or you find that there's something, we may find that we have an authority, or we've seen an authority who's doing activities that are not in accordance with Krishna consciousness, and in that way we lose faith, or we lose our we can lose faith, or we might feel the urge to protect others from experiencing that, so they don't lose faith. And so how are we to navigate that? And I'll just share this before you answer that.
Sure. It's
been my experience that I find Srila Prabhupada taking his word over all things in this movement, that we read the books, and we have to see that our authorities are capable of guiding us in terms of Prabhupada's instructions. That's been my biggest, help in regards to that, but I'd like to hear what you have to say.
Yeah. One thing, well, if I can honest, to be totally real, I would say minimum, all the issues that I've had with authorities is a minimum. And all the issues that I've seen other people have with authorities, 85% of it was for sure my own or their own problem. Not seeing it properly. Minimum. Person, I'll just throw that out there. Secondly, what is our qualification? Is our qualification to have Nityananda and Gadadhar as our spiritual authorities? Or is my qualification to have, not to, my authorities, I'm getting mega mercy because if there's any issue, if they're not 100% perfect, it's if that is the situation. I'm not even saying that's the situation, honestly. but, what is my qualification? So to just accept that, I don't deserve this in my life. This is Krishna's grace to be able to give me so much. And so those are two really important things to do, because we do know the 6 symptoms of surrender. One is to always remain meek and humble. Otherwise, we're not surrendered. So that's two good things to really take into serious consideration. Just coming from somebody that's been in the movement, a couple decades and more, 3-ish. So not to brag or push any trip on you or anything, but just reality, just to help the situation. And now, if there are any situations, then present it to a higher authority. That's it. Just present it to a higher authority, let them deal with it. If it's serious, they will deal with it. If it's not, they won't. So, that's and if you feel like it's serious and they haven't done anything about it, then present to another authority. That's all. I think that's our job. Let them deal with it, because they're more mature. They can handle it properly. It's Kali Yuga, and it's really important that we don't, that we stay on the ship, and we don't make aparadhas and things of this nature. Because almost always, if not always, it's just people having an idea of how it should be when reality is different. People had so many problems with Prabhupada. They had so many problems with Prabhupada. How many of those were valid? One devotee just said, "Well, Prabhupada, I'm gonna go now. Why? I want to find an authority better than you. Prabhupada." Like that. He got the blessings to. Yeah, something along those lines.
My blessings go down.
Well, we don't want to have those blessings. Those kind of blessings we don't want to have. We really don't. And, my experience is when I have made that mistake, those authorities that I made the mistake to were so kind to me that they informed me that this was a bad move and it should be done, they actually corrected me and helped me. So when you get a correction, it's the mercy also. So it's amazing how much mercy. You think how many people, great pundits in India, had problems with Prabhupada, the way he preached. You don't do it like that or like this. What the heck are you doing? No, this is a violation, and on and on and on and on. So we might have these thoughts just because our ideals or our understanding is not correct for preaching in this age. So it's important to at least open up a healthy dialogue rather than blasts and get kicked out of his convent, because there's no real. If we're too offensive, we gotta go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No one ever leaves. One devotee told me once, no one ever leaves ISKCON and says, "Oh, it's my fault. I'm not an ISKCON." It's always someone else's fault, and that's how you see that the offenses are working. And one time I asked Radheshyam Prabhu, your god brother Radheshyam Prabhu, famous Radheshyam Prabhu, the same similar question. And he said basically the same thing. He said, I'm just very honest. He said he even once questioned Radhanath Swami, very frankly, that this behavior is bewildering me, Guru Maharaj. And it was cleared up for him. So I appreciate your answer.
Yeah. We can be real people though. We can be real people. It's important that we remain real people, not robots. But let's be mature real people. If we don't have that maturity, we should go to somebody that does help to understand. This is the main thing. But it's really important to be real people also. Yeah.
I just reflect on that, real people. I feel when I read Chaitanya Charitamrita, it helped me a lot. Because I was feeling kind of disturbed in ways. And then once I finished the Chaitanya Charitamrita, I felt, you're seeing how devotees interact with each other, these great advanced souls interact, and how there are challenges, and how there's actually, it's not just one authority, there's many authorities. And you see some, like I hear the example of, Lord Chaitanya would become upset sometimes at his devotees, and sometimes devotees would become upset at certain circumstances happening. but there's always a mood of respect. So it really helped me a lot.
So you're saying your next Sunday program, evening program, you're going to teach Mayabhaga philosophy? Have Mother Tsunami beat you up? Or are you telling me that we should all be throwing rice at Mother Tsunami this morning? Is that? Oh, okay, got it. That's cool. All right, I like it. I'm just kidding.
I don't think that.
No, but those are the kind of things you get in the CC, you know.
Well, there's one instance especially where you hear about Gadadhar Pandit.
Yeah.
He becomes very upset because he's being approached by Vallabhacharya
Right.
if Vallabhacharya is actually a very high authority, or he's an acharya,
Super.
he's being approached by Vallabhacharya to be, wants to read these, these commentaries in Bhagavatam which are unauthorized.
Right.
And you see that, Gadadhar Pandit's very upset. He's becoming upset. And there's also another instance where Gadadhar Pandit feels that he's having some challenge with his Guru Maharaj, which is Pundrik Vidyanidhi.
Right.
And so then he goes to Lord Chaitanya and he asks Lord Chaitanya instructs him, and he fixes the problem. Also, in Chaitanya Bhagavat, there's one other instance where one devotee is very bewildered by Nityananda Prabhu's behavior.
Yeah.
He goes to Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Chaitanya, explains to him, he said, yeah, Lord Nityananda is a little strange, but actually, if Lord Nityananda marries a Muslim and goes into the liquor shop, he's still pure.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
it just gave me a lot of, also you see that even Lord Chaitanya became disturbed when he was criticized by Ramachandra Puri. Lord Chaitanya is God, but he acted very humble in the presence of Ramachandra Puri, and the other devotees didn't like it, but they didn't challenge Ramachandra Puri or Lord Chaitanya.
That was a great point that Lord Chaitanya did there. He didn't get disturbed. He was totally cool with it. And the other devotees got disturbed by it. But he's making the point that, hey, let's keep the standard here. Respect the authorities. And that's a really good point in answering your initial question. If anything, a tinge of any of that you experience, how did Lord Chaitanya handle it? He handled it perfectly wonderfully. He didn't have an issue. He kept on going for the service. He didn't have an issue. He didn't have a resentment for 30 years later. Okay. Anybody got comments or questions? I know that we got to go. Well, we got kind of early, but yeah, go ahead. Anybody else?
I'll just share one last thing. There's one, growing up in the Catholic Church, there's a huge emphasis on authority in terms of their religious, their monks, their priests. It's like that's their vow: chastity, obedience, and poverty. And so different saints in the Catholic Church have spoke about how even if your authority is sinful, horrible, that it's more sinful for you not to listen to them. So that point's made in the church a lot, that we're all fallen, we're all kind of sinful, but we respect the authority, and the blessings come through that authority. And there's many saints who've had visions of Jesus, and Jesus has told them, your authority is fallen, but you should still work under their authority in respect to the office of the bishop or so forth.
I mean, if you think about the authorities in ISKCON, some of them being around for 50 years, doing service for so long, if one perceivable fault here and there, I think we can let it go. Yeah. Or at worst, talk to an authority about it, have them maturely resolve the situation. Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.